All right. Hello, gamers, World War II enthusiasts, you name it, anybody out there that enjoys a bit of World War II history. I'm here to introduce a tutorial series for probably my number one played game at the present moment. It is a collection of games, but it is a war game made by Columbia Games, second edition. Big shout out to the designers. We have Craig Besink and Tom Dalgleish, if I pronounced that right. But this is essentially EuroFront and EastFront. And so what I intend to do is give you all a quick tutorial, and I say quick, but it's actually going to be multi-part long video series dedicated to going down all the rules that one needs to know to play the game. This game is a war game, so if you are a fan of war games, I think this is going to be quite familiar sort of environment for y'all because I know that many of y'all are already pretty familiar with reading a lot of the rule sets that come into some pretty advanced games that are out there. But here are the PDFs I have. Was able to get them online for free, and I've added all these different bookmarks, but you can get a sense of like all the different sections that this game covers. We have the map, the units, sequence of play, combat, hex control, production, air power, weather, strategic objectives, a lot of the basic stuff that you're going to find in your war games. Here is EuroFront. EuroFront has a little bit more rule sets in it. There's actually three manuals altogether. So we got East Front, then West Front, and EuroFront. EuroFront sort of combines all of them into one bigger document. And they add a little bit of extra details for things like rules on minor powers, rules on politics. There's a whole new political dice roll mechanism that you can use to create diplomatic events. The list goes on, but basically, general takeaways that we have a cool game. So, anyways, I've talked enough as a quick intro there. I want to actually show you all the game and let you all get a better sense of what this game is about. If I can do it in a smooth way. So, anyways, I think what I have here is the actual map of the game. Yes. This particular scenario right now is July 1940. And this is going to be done on my computer. It's a lot more convenient. I'm doing it through the Vassal engine, which I'll get into in a moment. But this is the game. And so this game is definitely has a bit of that more realism side of gaming for anyone who's sort of new to wargaming. And you're going to see that, it has a lot of details. So I think a good way to get into these kind of war games is to actually start with basically a game like chess. If you have a chance, I recommend playing some chess. Get into that kind of level of difficulty. You don't have to be a grandmaster. I'm certainly am not. But if you're into that kind of just tactical heavy, piece-based analysis, turn-based style gaming, then chess is a great place to start. I then eventually got into playing Axis and Allies, which was sort of the next level up. It's kind of like a game like Risk, although you can see that you have special units like naval ships and tanks and aircraft as well as your basic infantry. Another game that I eventually did play to level up from there was a game called Europe and Golf, and that was by GMT. I do have to show you all a little bit of that as well. And you can see that like this game here definitely levels up a bit more. I mean, here's a picture, and you can see we're kind of now focused mostly on Europe. I think there's many variants of Axis and Allies, but it's a little bit more detailed than Axis and Allies, but you still kind of have the overall big grand strategy. And it's color coded. So Italians are green, the French are blue, the Germans are usually gray, and then the Soviets are usually red. And then finally, we can eventually like upgrade ourselves up to the scale of a game like Eastfront, Eurofront. So this is where I'm at in my sort of journey of wargaming. I'm sure you could break it down into like different scales of warfare. This game would be a operational, semi-operational, semi-strategic scaled game, given that you control usually armies or corps at this level. I'm sure the level up from here would be a game where you're actually playing with controlling each individual division, perhaps. And then from there, you could even take it a step further, and you may have stacking, games that stack these cards. And let me show you on the Vassal Engine home screen. Here's an example, and you can see that these those unit types basically represent divisions, regiments, battalions, even, and you can go all the way down to like the tactical level. Um, so the nice thing I like about EuroFront, East Front is that the game covers the entire war, 1939 to 1945. It's only European focused. There is no like Pacific theater version. The game is mostly focused on combat with ground forces, but they have some very good naval rules, and they really do, I think, an impressive job of showing this the way production changes over time. And like when the U.S. enters the war, the Western Allied powers just shoot up in production, and likewise, the Soviets are able to find ways to recover their own production through like Lend-Lease, for example. Germany's production is quite a hybrid, but all throughout the war, I feel like still pretty resource deprived as Germany, and as well as Britain as well when you're playing in the early half of the game. So they do the production side really well. They do the combat, of course, really well. Naval movement rules are done well as well. And yeah, there's a lot of good things in this game that I actually appreciate. So hopefully that's a pretty decent introduction to the game. Wanted to show you all the map, get you all a feel for how this game looks. And I mean, I could go into more detail about like things like terrain, things like, the actual production sites that you probably are noticing right now on the map. But I really love how they went for this kind of realistic look that really gets people quite immersed. If you're really into the battles and the ground campaigns of the war, and you're just really curious about like fighting in the desert, fighting across mountainous terrain, fighting on your way across the Russian steppe to Stalingrad, this game does it all pretty nicely. So they even cover part of the Middle East, and they even have these like special rules for movements that go all the way as far as India, and also some special movement rules for fighting in Scandinavia. But the point I'm trying to make is that they cover the entire European theater of operations, and really like all of the combat and fighting that would have involved Nazi Germany, Italy, and pretty much all of their major allies, excluding Japan. And so I think that really sums up the game, folks. What else can I say? I guess I need to mention, before I forget, how can you actually get the game? Where did I even learn about the game? Where did I even learn about a lot of these war games? The main website is boardgamegeek.com. Good website. Probably is the number one website for all kinds of board games, everything from, Chinese checkers all the way to, Case Blue, super detailed war game. Here you can get some pictures of like the actual tabletop game. It is a tabletop game. Ideally, it's best played in person when you can play with a good friend. These days in my given lifestyle, I am not really ready yet to have the space to set up a whole table, but I can see myself in the future, as a happy old man. Maybe I can get a game like this and play it with, say, my grandkids. I think that would be pretty cool. But it's a beautiful game, a pretty old game. I think this game came out a few decades ago now, but it still looks really nice. And I really recommend it for anyone who wants to try it out. Where can you buy the game? I think you can probably buy it on websites, but the easiest place to get it will be the so-called geek market. And chances are you're gonna be buying it from another person who actually has the copy, and you're just buying it from them. You can see the price ranges. We're talking, several $100s more or less for the game. So I think it's a relatively interesting buy, definitely a classic in that sense. And as far as ratings go, it's one of the highest rating games in the Board Game Geek community. A lot of games don't even go past 8. So this is an 8.4 rating. I think that's pretty awesome. And yeah, what else? Community is still active. I mean, you can find people if you ask any questions about rules or strategy. You can go into these forums, make a quick few posts, and chances are you are going to get someone that's still responding. The last response, for example, was 13 hours ago. Before that, 7 days ago, 3 months ago. But you're going to have, people posting that go back decades. What else can I say here? Then, if you want to play on your computer or play by email, which is PBEM for short, and chances are, if you want to play with me, you can play getting the Vassal engine. This is, it's an open platform. You basically download it. You can download all these different modules that represent different games. And so I mean, there clearly had to have been some kind of collaboration. I don't know how they did their copywriting and trademarking, but Vassal is a very up and running platform, and I think it seems to have really helped the wargaming community more than anything. Maybe give people a little bit more attention to these games, and so maybe it did help, these companies actually continue making money off of the hard cover versions of the game. So yeah, definitely check out the Vassal engine. That's what I was showing you earlier. This is all done on the Vassal engine. And I really like it because I have the log files. So if I ever want to do a sequence, I can actually go ahead and record the sequence and actually, store the file. So it's really cool because I can kind of sort of study my play sessions, and on the more, if you want to get into like data analytics or any kind of like deep study of World War II, I think having that time lapse is really rewarding. So I'm going to wrap it up here. This was the introduction. Definitely give the video a like if you liked it. And if you want to play with me, I'm actually going to set up a Discord, and we can play by email through that way, or we can send each other the files that way. And I think there's another place on Facebook that we can that people are still active. I'll put a link to that as well. And what else? That's pretty much it, folks. So I'll see y'all on the battlefield. In the meantime, check out the list below for anyone who's new to the game or curious about the game, wants to level up from like Hearts of Iron, or maybe try a different style of strategic game rather than RTS, which is real-time strategy. You can try out more turn-based. And if that's the case, you've got the Discord. And what I'm trying to say is we have a list. I'm going to have a list of all the different parts of the game, showing you step by step, how do the units move, how does the production work, how does the terrain work, how does the weather work, and all those extra caveats. It's a little bit slow. Like a lot of these games, there's a bit of a learning curve. But once you get past that curve, I think we're Gucci, and you're going to appreciate a lot more any other future videos I make about my own playthroughs, or if I want to do any kind of World War II analyses on my playthroughs, and then maybe we can eventually level up to actual, historical analyses of the war itself. But in the meantime, we're going to use this war game as a cool way to explore World War II, and also have fun with it. So hopefully you all are as excited about it as I am. I'll see you all in the next video, and please enjoy the tutorial. Peace.